No, they don't. Definitely do not rage quit.
Okay, cool.
Oh boy. All right. Welcome to Practical Shooting After Dark. On deck tonight, we have, as always, the handsome Wansik Kim.
Yay! Hi.
Matt Hopkins.
I'm not handsome.
You're handsome also, Matt.
Thank you.
And a familiar face, but it's been a while since we've had you on, Tyler Turner.
Yeah, boys. Long time no talk.
I know.
Just on here.
Yeah.
Just on here, yeah. I still blow up your messenger when I'm bored at work and have nothing else to do. I'm like, oh, let's see what Tyler's up to.
Well, Matt and I got to see each other in person, like just this past weekend.
Yep.
Oh, baby.
We're going to talk about that, I think.
Yeah, I want to hear more about that. I mean, yeah, you guys know the deal with the show. Everybody comes to the topic, show, tell, blah, blah, whatever. Yes, I want to hear what Tyler and Matt have to talk about. Is it the same topic or no?
Yeah, same topic, yeah.
All right. Tell me more.
Go ahead, this weekend shooting, right? Or this past weekend shooting, I guess.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah. So me and Tyler just got done shooting the Georgia State sectional match down in north suburb of Atlanta, Georgia. I don't know what the town is called, or basically pretty far north.
Riverbend Gun Club, Dawsonville, Georgia.
It's like an hour north of the airport.
Yeah.
So I actually didn't plan on shooting this match till the Tuesday before the match. So, I'm like, oh, cool. Match has got like 380 shooters at it. Heard from the Dupuis brothers that it's a good match and the way they ran it. So I'm like, cool, I'm going to go shoot this. And then, like, a good thing about it, I could shoot it with no time off.
Oh.
So I could, like, fly in, go to the match, shoot it, and then fly home, like, all within a Saturday, Sunday.
Sounds excellent.
It was excellent. And I actually, the way the timing worked out, I could have flew in Saturday morning, shot Saturday afternoon, and flew back out Saturday night. The timing actually worked out. I could have done that. It would have been a little crazy, but it would have worked. And I've never seen a match where you could kind of do that at a state level, like 10-stage legit match.
Well, I want to hear more about this because I saw, Tyler, you posted, you guys, is it you work half the day and you shoot half the day, or what was the schedule like?
It's a half-day format. A lot of guys, and it ran from Friday through Sunday. Some guys did shoot one of the half-day relays and worked the others. I actually shot Friday, which was staff, full-day format, and then worked the following 2 days, Saturday, Sunday. And so each day, Saturday and Sunday, had an AM and PM relay. There were, I think, 10...
Seven shooters per squad, 10 squads.
Yeah, 10 squads a relay, 7 shooters a squad.
7 shooters?
Yeah, and no competitor reset. We were turning on our stage. We were turning squads in about 20 minutes, 20-minute turnover, and finished. Yeah, so we blew through each relay in 4 hours or less, probably closer to 3.5.
I shot Sunday morning and they were done. We were done shooting by 11:30. So first shot fired at 7:30, done shooting by 11:30.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So this is something that it's been several years since Riverbend Gun Club has hosted the state match. They had it in 2015 and 2016, did the half-day format those years. And we wanted to, I know the match director and the central staff wanted to return to that format because competitors really like it. It works really well as long as you have the staff numbers to accommodate it, so that competitors don't have to reset. And I think it went really well. I know so is there any half day format? And I know, Wansik, you're on West Coast, Joel and Matt, you guys are kind of central Midwest.
Middle of nowhere.
Is half day format a thing? outside the Southeast.
But there is a thing here, but there's no work. Like you just show up half day, and the next day you shoot another half day, but you pace your own.
Yeah, so there is half days, but it's a 2-day half day format. So you shoot half day one day, half day the other day.
Yes.
Okay.
Or like nationals, where it's like AM, PM, AM kind of a deal.
Yeah, and it's like 3/4 and a quarter, something like that. There's never like a half day, like 4-hour shoot the entire match that I've seen anywhere else.
Okay.
That was one of the biggest things that intrigued me about the match, like how this would run and how they would make it work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so let me tell you, it worked surprisingly well. Like it worked really well.
It's funny you say that because I overheard one morning. I overheard some of the competitors saying, kind of like they were doubting whether or not it could be done. Like I don't know how they're going to turn over 10 squats in 4 hours or 10 stages 4 hours.
Dude, it was. I'll get into how it like ran on the squads and stuff, but it was actually really good.
Yeah, so I'm really interested, to hear it from competitors' standpoint, especially you, Matt, because you've shot a lot of matches in a lot of places, and I'm just curious to know your thoughts. And I know that the match staff at Riverbend, they're really keen on feedback. They actually listen and incorporate that stuff. So I know they will find this really valuable.
Yeah. So so they had basically 6 ROs on each stage, probably 4 to 6. I think some had 4, but 4 or 5. Like 5 was I think pretty average. A lot had 6 on it. So basically, you have a timer RO, a scoring RO, and then you have basically a paperwork RO, and then you have like 3 resetters. And the big difference was the ROs, like, and all the workers that were there working knew that was part of the format. So they didn't like get upset that the RO, like the squad wasn't resetting or everything. Like they made it a point to tell every squad that you guys will not reset on this stage. Like I did not pick up a paster or a paint or a steel or anything the entire match. It was crazy.
Okay. I would guess the reset was very consistent then, like swinger,
exactly,
designated person kind of thing. Okay.
That's awesome. So like obviously if you work a stage, you'll see where like the slowdown was, and so you like concentrate people towards that. Or like if one RO can score like 12 targets in a row, like right as they're scoring, there's no sense to send 2 people out there. Because like as they're scoring the whole stage, and like by the time they're done, 3/4 of the paper targets are taped already. Like there was some big stages where there was a lot of different targets, a ton of shooting positions, and like we literally didn't back up at all. And like there was a squad behind us, like they would be coming up as like our last shooter was done. So like the flow went really good. I think there's a couple stages that were longer than the others, like a 20-second stage next to a 10-second stage. So that was close, but there was really no backup ever. Because worst case, like if they caught one shooter on it, like 2 minutes till they're done, and then they're off.
Did you have the normal 5-minute walkthrough? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
They gave a 4-minute walkthrough on everything, which was plenty of time.
Because you're not tripping over everyone.
You're not tripping over everyone. Only 7 people, and honestly, being done so early, they didn't start the afternoon flights till 2:30, so there was a 2-hour window where no one was shooting on the stages. So you could go out there, walk the stages without another squad on it, and look at it, and actually get on every stage. So like I'm saying, like I flew in, landed at 6 a.m., drove to the range, and like messed around doing it like slowly, like didn't even got to the range like during lunch, like right when everybody was done, and had 2 hours to walk the stages before the afternoon. So I literally could have shot in the afternoon and be done at 5:30. Went back to the airport, got on a flight at 7 o'clock, and been out of there. That's why I'm saying I could have done it in one day. It would have been nuts, but
I've had experience doing that. So work half day and shoot half day format in Canada. They've been doing it for a while, and over there extremely works well. But what they're doing, although, is 1, 2, 3 stage system, right? So 3 small stage, 2 medium, 1 large. How was the stages like over there? Any memory stuff or average round count kind of thing? Small, medium courses.
So Matt, we talked about this there at lunch, and I think we both kind of shared the same opinion.
Yeah.
That
So
yeah, go ahead.
if I was to sum it up in one sentence, it would be all the stages were set up and designed to turn a squad over of 7 shooters in 15 minutes. So, like, just explain a little bit. Like, the stages didn't have super difficult targets. There was not a single no-shoot except to cover a swinger, I think. No, maybe not even that. Like, I didn't see any no-shoots on there. The bays aren't super wide. They're not super deep. So the longest shot was probably a 20-yard mini popper, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple of those in there. They had some decently distanced targets. Maybe like max, I think, would be 20-yard shot. A lot of double stack targets where they're like this. They used all the classic targets, I think, is what they are. No, they're metric.
IPSC.
Whatever. They
IPSC
used the IPSC targets, yeah. So they used IPSC targets on everything. Probably average stage round count was 26 overall, so pretty large stages, all pretty much made to be average in 15 seconds per stage for a shooter to shoot overall.
And as a competitor, that I shot the match as well, and as a competitor, that's my take too. Without knowing any inside baseball about the match and how they designed it, but yeah, the phrase that comes to my mind is low complexity, because like Matt says, they are designed. They wanted to make sure they had plenty of time to turn over these squads and make sure the trains ran on time. That's my chief complaint with the stages and the match overall, for that matter, is that they're a little low complexity for my taste. I would have liked to have seen some more difficult shooting, maybe some more technical elements. But, this is the first year having it back, wanting to make sure that, I guess, logistically it ran well. That was a something done on purpose. But
it ran super well. Like, I think they plan to have every 30 minutes shoot a stage. So 4 minutes per walkthrough. 7 times 3 is 21, and then you had like a 4-minute walk in between. So, like, it was set up to turn a stage over every 30 minutes. I think they were getting it a little less than that, but basically on average it was done like that. So yeah, target difficulty I would say was low, which made people want to go super fast, which induced issues on it by itself. Yeah, I wasn't immune to that at all. Like,
and for that reason, the stages, because they were low complexity and low shot difficulty for the most part, they tended to be higher hit factor. It's so I would say it certainly wasn't designed as a hose fest, and I would not call the match a hose fest. Just low complexity that led to higher hit factor stages. But I've already made my feelings known to the appropriate people, and I do believe when and if you shoot this match next year, now that they know they have some time to play with, and it's not quite as tight as it was imagined, I think you probably will see some more complexity, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, definitely. The MD sent out a after match survey to get people like what they liked, what they didn't like, what was best, what was worst. I like that. That means they're open to feedback, and like as long as they use it, like I think it's awesome. It's the second match this year that's done that. I foresee that actually happening more and more because these matches are going to sell out, and they're going to want to get input, and like obviously sold out match, obviously raise your rate so you can make more money. Like it's a good thing for the sport to do this.
No, that sounds super interesting. For a guy that wasn't there, to paraphrase, they were really worried about the match flow and it not being a train wreck. So the stages were made like less complicated, but the match ran really well. So now that they have the format perfected, they can make tweaks next year. So that, I mean, if I was in their position, I think I'd do the same thing. Because if it was a train wreck and everyone was standing around all day, then nobody's going to come back. So that seems like a logical way to handle it.
Yeah, it was awesome. So they had a couple other things. I don't know. I'm sure Tyler recognizes this, but I'll just bring it up from notes for other match directors. Like, this will make your match even better and cause less issues in the like during the match. So water was obviously provided. They had coolers on that, like cool. So I didn't have to go buy a bunch of water because I flew in. So obviously low on what I could take and everything. Really good. The match director planned and bought waterproof targets and waterproof pasters. So like they saw like a rain cloud coming. They're like, boom, passed out all the waterproof targets for the stages. Get a little sprinkle in while shooting. Like, they're like, pause, like, just stop shooting, replace all the targets with the waterproof targets, staple them up, remove, like, change all the tape guns out to the waterproof pasters, done. And then they're like, okay, start shooting again. No bags at all. Like, they pre-planned and pre-bought waterproof targets, knowing that they could have had a rainstorm and like how bad bags are for competitors. Like, that is, like, if I'm going to run a match, I'm going to pre-plan to buy waterproof targets for the whole thing. That way I don't have to deal with like bags and like soggy targets or pausing the match to throw bags on, stuff like that. Like, just pre-plan it. You could build that into your match fee and your budget. I think it makes a lot of sense.
That's awesome.
Did they use them on Friday, Tyler?
Yeah.
Yeah. So during the RO shoot,
it makes it such a huge difference for the competitor, for RO, because I'm not exaggerating. There's nothing about this sport I hate worse than pasting and screwing around with bagged targets.
Oh, it's a pain.
It is awful. And this was the first time I'd ever like used or had experience with the waterproof targets, and they were the DAA waterproof targets and pasters, and they were fantastic.
I was going to ask you, so did anybody have to actually shoot in the rain? Did you actually shoot while it was raining, Tyler?
It rained Friday on and off, and then a pretty significant cell passed through Sunday afternoon, so we had to pause for about 30 minutes, but that was it. And then after it was gone, it was nice and clear. So, yeah, some Friday staff had to shoot in the rain, and then maybe one or two stages, probably on average, someone had to shoot in the rain on Sunday afternoon.
Well, I was just getting at, I haven't talked to anybody that has actual experience with the waterproof targets and patches. Is there more than one place to source it from? Are they just DAA targets and patches? Do you know what they used?
I don't know for sure. I know the targets themselves were stamped DAA. I assume the pasters were too. I just don't know enough to comment.
Nah, no worries. No, I think that's the way of the future. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense, especially if you're building a match. Like, just build that in your budget.
Yeah.
I have a quick question for you guys. So this match sounds super efficient. What do you think the right number of stages, the total number of stages at this match? Because 10, I think it went too fast, in my personal opinion. What do you think, like, the good number for this match is for stage?
So it is just a state level match. I think it was appropriate. I think if they had made the stages more complex or more technical shooting, it would have been like basically a perfect match at that point.
Yeah. So same 10 stages, but more complexity in it.
Yeah, I think so. I think 10 was okay. I mean, that's the old question. Like, is this enough for a state match or whatever? Like, adding 2 stages, would it have changed the match if they kept the same thing? Probably not. If they had changed the complexity and left it at 10, it would have been a better. But if they would have added 2 stages and made it more complex, I don't think they would have been able to get all the shooters through in 4 hours.
No.
It would have been a 5-hour thing. And you guys are limited on bays there too in that section. So
yeah. So that's another consideration is, they're basically 11 bays on the hill where our action shooting occurs, and one was basically allocated for a sponsor, one of the big level sponsors to have a demo bay. So we're kind of limited there, kind of capped at 10.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they could easily. Oh, sorry. They could easily do 11 if they didn't have the demo bay. But like if you add another one beyond that, you'd add a ton of transit time between the stages. Either like from 10 to 11 or like 11 back to 1 if they did that somewhere else. There'd be a ton of transit time in there, and that'd have a pretty logistical nightmare figuring that out.
I have one more question. I know we need to move on to the topics, but tell me more about the half day. So could you potentially have to work morning and then shoot afternoon, or did you always, because I mean, shooting while you're fresh is huge, and especially like while you're fresh, you just shoot the morning and then you could work the afternoon, which who cares if you're tired? Did you get to pick when you worked, or did you have to work? Is that optional? How does that part work?
No, basically when MD puts out the call for staff, you can say, hey, I really want to work Saturday and shoot Sunday, or vice versa, or yeah, I'm good to work both Saturday and Sunday, so I'll shoot on staff day, something like that. But there's some flexibility there, and they'll work with you.
Yeah,
so
I think awesome. The bulk of competitors didn't actually help with the RO and our stage resetting. Do you think, Tyler?
Oh yeah, I think the vast majority of competitors were just there to shoot.
Yep.
Wow. So you weren't required. You aren't required to reset if you don't want to.
Oh
no. If you're shooting on for any given relay, except for Friday staff day, if you're shooting on Saturday or Sunday, you are not going to paste.
Right. Well, I mean, but you're not. I don't have to come back later on and.
No. It's not like the arrangement that Juanzig was talking about, like Canadian IPSC.
Oh, okay.
It's not like work one, shoot one. No, like it's, you can staff as much as or as little as you want, or not at all.
Yeah, there was some Randy, the MD, he was like, there was some formula, like if you work 2, you got a free match entry.
Yeah.
But if you work more than that, you could get a free match entry and something else. I don't know. It was something like that. But obviously, a lot of people just showed up, shot, and left.
Yeah, sign me up. Let's go.
And the interesting thing, I thought, like Friday competitors had their own ROs and scorekeepers. So they were literally competitors on Friday.
Yeah.
And that's right. Those ROs and scorekeepers then either like probably shot Sunday morning and then helped RO, or like shot Sunday and then left. Like that was it.
That's right. That's a good point, and it goes to kind of what you were talking about earlier, which is I really like the format, not just because we do it and it's my home mat, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I really think it's good for competitive equity, that competitors they're not involved in that at all. Because I got to tell you, like, we didn't have on my stage, we didn't have a single reshoot for unpasted or pre-pasted target. Like, if you're doing this, you get in a rhythm with the same crew. You're doing the same targets each time. You know what you're doing. It's just for competitive equity. I think it can't be beat.
Oh, I like it.
And not that there are any cheaters in the sport, but keeping competitors off the stage, not a bad thing in my mind.
I think we can all say that a target that we've seen get pasted prematurely had maybe some look of impropriety on it. Maybe sometimes.
I'm sure that's happened from time to time.
Joel's super nervous and wants to go on now.
No, even though Ben's not on, he's being disruptive. So, Tyler, don't check your phone. Kim,
yes.
you have a topic you want to talk about?
Yeah, I have a very happy news for carry optics shooters. So I recently I posted, maybe not posted, I think I've talked about it on the podcast that I broke one of the optics I have 9 times But fortunately, it's have a lifetime warranty, which is a Delta Point Pro from Leupold. And so finally, my 9th broken one came back. Before that, one of the shooter actually texted me saying he got his back and the whole circuit board is changed to a different design.
Oh.
And he said he shot over 13,000 rounds and without any issues on a CO gun, which was a CZ. So the one I got too, it's got the new design. It's just different looking, different system for the battery contact mount, totally different. The one before was the contacting plate was kind of floating around, but it was placed with a tape on the top, almost like a silicone thing. Then now they just built it into the circuit board. So now it's pretty much guaranteed not to move around unless the leg breaks somehow. So this Optic used to break around 7,000 rounds mark. And I'm hearing other people reporting back they have over 10,000 rounds and they're not having any issues with it. So the one I was mainly running was SRO. That's been running really good. The window is pretty big, but the only issue was the glare issue in the sun, double dot issue. But the Leupold one never had any issues in the glass. So this is something I would run after the Nationals. I'm going to test it, see how it's going to last. And I think anybody has Delta Point and maybe sitting in the safe, maybe try just sending it to the company and get it fixed or get it new design. So that's something I'm really excited because the pistol optic, I haven't found any optic that's perfect, especially for competition. If it's a very clear window, it's got some issues, reliability, or if it's a super reliable, it's got some glare issue, things like that. So I think if Delta Point lasts with a new circuit board, I think that's a really good option to go with for carry optics gun. And I think Delta Point has a contract with the military or something. So I can see a lot of the companies now gonna mill it better with it and come up with a better accessories probably.
Matt, we can't hear you.
Okay, so I expand on Kim's comment. There was the military chose the Delta Point Pro footprint as the standard for the military pistol optics.
Oh,
so
okay.
Just take that info for what it is, but I bet you'll start seeing a bunch more Delta Point Pro footprint optics from more than Leupold come out.
Yeah.
Because the military is going to buy some pistol-mounted optic at some point, and they're all vying to win that contract.
Oh, that's very interesting.
That would make things so much easier to standardize on a mount footprint, or at least two. Like,
dude, you have
no
idea.
The Trijicon and Leupold and be done with it. I'm sure it is a headache.
Dude, there's like, I think there's 8 different footprints off the top of my head. There might be more. Like, there's some crazy stuff out there.
That's cost effective, right, Matt? Like, you need to ship a gun with like 15 different plates now.
Yeah, we figured out the most cost effective way to do that was to ship it with none. Let the customer buy the one that they want.
Yeah.
That seems smart. Oh, Kim, good news. That's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, for my topic, I mean, it rolls around every year. I am getting ready to start my off season. So I'm done with major matches for the year. And so basically, I know. Travel. I know. So anyway, I'll basically train with fun stuff until it gets cold. So I don't really have to train super hard for any matches, anything like major other than club matches. So I'll mess around with my carbine some, mess around with the Glock some. I've already got an SRO sitting in my safe. That's what Kim told me to buy. So I just need a Glock 34 Gen 5 MOS. Then I can throw that bad boy on there and I'll mess around with that. And so basically, I'll still be shooting. I'll still be thinking about shooting. I'll still be going to the range. But I don't really have to train hard for the rest of the year. So it's kind of just having fun, which to me, I actually enjoy that a lot. Where like yesterday, I took my carbine and a Glock 17 to the range. I was still shooting, but I just had a good time. I didn't have to necessarily accomplish anything. And I mean, you still get better doing that. And then around here, it'll get too cold where, I mean, last year, I don't know, we had like 10 days in a row where it was like -15 or something. So it'll get to the point where I don't want to be outside. I'm not interested. So then like that point during my off season is kind of refocusing on shooting. If I want to read books, podcasts, training group, it's a great time to shift through, like or sift through rather, so much like videos there that people maybe don't have time to watch. Get all my gear straight. So like for my competition stuff for next year, if I need parts, pins, springs, reliability issues, magazines, any of that garbage, it's time to sort that out and get everything working. Well, I've got plenty of downtime, load ammo. And then the next play for me is I pick what date I need to be ready to roll next year by. So whether I'm teaching a class or I have a match, it's like, hey, this date I have to be tuned up and I need to be ready to roll. So then I probably want 2 months before that. I probably start training. And so then that just tells my calendar like that lets me know I need to be starting up on this date. And so then until that time frame, I can have fun as long as the weather permits, and then, direct my attention towards it's still shooting stuff, but it's not as intense. It's at my leisure. So
sounds very similar to my off season too. Off season, I really ramp up the study part. So like you mentioned, watching videos and stuff. Like especially when I'm reloading too, I actually watch videos or smoking cigar, drink whiskey. Definitely have. Sometimes I actually download a lot of stuff in the hot season too, shooting season, and then like watch all day long in the winter time.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a lot of stuff watched from Joel too. He made a very nice transition video. So I only watched the half of them, but I'm excited to watch.
Yeah, hope you like it. That'll be dropping soon on Training Group. So, but yeah, I agree. It's a good time just to. It's fun because I'm always going to be thinking about shooting, but it's just at my leisure where it's like, hey, I'll shoot my Glock 17 just for something fun to do, or I'm really motivated to load ammo, or whatever. So
you hoarding all those primers over there?
I am feeling stocked up. I'm feeling pretty comfortable. So I'll shoot as much as I feel like shooting. How's that?
Good.
Yeah. It's a good spot to be in. Anyway. Well, guys, how do you feel about taking a question?
That's good.
Let's have a question.
All right. Can you discuss a standard weekly dry fire practice program and how it transfers to that week's live fire practice? Example, practicing transitions in dry fire for 2 days, and on the third day, live fire transitions. Then it's like the following 2 days after that, doing movement skills, then going to the range to test that. So is that the correct course? Also, with the shortage of ammunition and reloading supplies, what do you suggest to get more from live fire with basically shooting less ammunition?
Good stuff.
Who wants to go first? Tyler, you want to talk about training? Live fire to dry fire?
Yeah, no, what this guy's saying, I mean, it sounds like a pretty sensible plan. You have a synergistic effect, with your live fire and your dry fire. You're driving the same training goals, the same objectives, whatever play with the numbers, whatever makes sense for you and your schedule and your range availability, ammo situation. I know it's going to get tight for a lot of people. A lot of people are going to be, really messing with their live to dry ratio. And I think this thing's going to last for a long time. So a lot of people are going to be in that boat, maybe even me at some point. But yeah, I think that's sensible. Make your live and dry fire work together. Yeah. What else is there to say? Like that, it sounds smart to me.
Yeah, well, I kind of ram it down people's throat with like dry firing on the range. So this is a good time. If you haven't taken that on board, this is a good time to take it, like to give it a try. So like doing target transitions when the gun's going off, and like, this is one of the things I talk about in the video that's posted on Training Group. But the gun's going off in front of your face, you got to hang on to it. You've got to clean it. You got ammo to load, all this other crap. Like you could just practice looking at a precise spot, bringing the gun to that spot, move your eyes again, then move the sights. And you could work on doing that, a few runs on the range, load the gun, go hot, shoot it a few times, then do it dry again. Or if you're doing like position entry and exit, running hard, having the gun up, aiming at the target through the wall, like you don't really need to fire ammunition to do that. So I have never been a fan of, I mean, regardless of finances or my season, so to speak, in shooting, I don't take a bucket of ammo to the range and just load mags and go crazy and think I'll figure it out at some point. That's kind of never been me. So I think if you are that person that, you know, like goes to the range with 1,000 rounds and I'll just like load mags and I'll figure it out at some point, it's a really good time to start thinking about what you're actually doing. Are you actually learning from the ammunition you're firing? And then being smarter about paying attention to what's going on as it's happening and kind of analyzing what you're seeing. What do you think, Kim?
So for me, I have two different style when it comes to doing dry fire, live fire. So first one is inductive method and second one is deductive method. So basically, I do both. One could be like this person mentions, work on dry fire. You're doing multiple transitions and you verify that in live fire, testing what you practice in dry fire. And it could be definitely the other way around. For example, for especially shooting fundamentals, let's say I am working on recoil management, then I would do live fire first before I start doing dry fire at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go to the range, figure out the recoil management stuff like better grip or different angles of your elbow, stuff like that. Once you have that result and have improvement at the end of the live fire session, I go home and do dry fire based on that. So I'm trying to apply that into multiple different areas. So coming into position, then as I come in, meet the grip back up, then I'm focusing what I learned from the live fire and trying to apply that. The transition is the same way. If I have wide transition or I have maintaining the good grip in between the transition kind of thing, so I definitely do both. I'm utilizing in a two different methods, but what determines if live fire comes first or live fire comes later is what I'm actually focusing the skill sets. Definitely there's a skill set or technique that you can only develop in live fire. So for example, calling your shot could be one thing, or definitely the recoil part. Definitely you can experiment grip pressure, grip positioning, everything in dry fire, of course. But the actual recoil and returning the muzzle back down to the original spot kind of thing has to be worked on in live fire. I mean, there is like a cool fire trainer kind of thing, but I don't think that's a realistic to your certain gun. So there's definitely two different areas. So choose each, either inductive method or deductive method, depends on what you're trying to work on.
Kim, that's smart. What about, you like the schedule also of a couple of days dry and then going to the range to test that live? Would you agree with that?
Yes, but that should change a little bit. It depends on the season. So if it's a hot shooting season versus off season, in hot season, you should break it into like at least two parts and work on overall skills. So maintenance basically. And then second part, just hammer down on one skill set. So you're not neglecting overall performance. But in the wintertime, I would definitely like to do like, I have each year different goals. So 17 was all about recoil, 18 was all about transition, 19 was all about movement stuff. So each year I have a set goal, and in the off season is where I go like 95% hammering down on one certain skill sets.
Kim, I was hoping you'd say something really smart, and guess what? You did not disappoint.
Thank you.
As always. Matt, anything to add or thoughts?
Not after that.
I should have put Kim up last. Kim always
Listen
knocks
to
it out
what
of the
Kim
park.
said.
Yeah, Professor Kim.
Yes, sir.
How do you guys feel about one more question? It's a quick one. And Matt, we can kick this one to you first, if you want to.
As long as it's a gear question.
It is actually kind of.
Tell you
That's
what recoil spring.
What recoil spring, yeah. How often do I change my recoil spring? Okay. I'm about to move to an apartment where having a gun isn't allowed, and if I did have one, there's a decent chance it might get stolen. The gun will be kept in another location where it's legal and secure. My question is this: how can I keep up dry fire practice every day without my actual competition gun? I've looked at airsoft and cert guns, but they don't have the weight, sights, or trigger feel. Is it worth practicing with a gun that isn't my actual competition gun?
Why is this guy living where he's living?
I'm a little bit worried if there's a chance
Maybe he needs
this
to
place is
load
going to
the
get
gun
broke
and have
into.
it on him at all times. That's what it
Ugh.
sounds like.
I'm a little bit worried about, having
So
it
I would
stolen.
say, serious answer, look into a metal airsoft gun. They actually have guns that replicate the exact weight and feel of your regular gun. For dry fire, they're more expensive than a plastic one, but if you can't have the real thing, I think that would be the next best. And then maybe reevaluate where you're living, unless it's like for free or there was other factors here that he didn't list. But like knowing that it's going to get stolen and the apartment banning it, like not a great situation, I wouldn't think.
No. Doesn't CZ make a lot of, like, they make pellet guns and they make, so like if you have a popular gun, I think, don't they make other guns that look a lot like a Shadow 2? I mean, depending on what his gun is, but.
Yeah, so they don't make the airsoft version, but there's a company, ASG, that does make a metal airsoft Shadow 2 and SPO1 Shadow, so maybe switch your guns.
Yeah, to a CZ or maybe a Glock.
Yeah, exactly.
Tyler or Kim, anything else to add? Thoughts?
I have two things to say. One is free men don't ask permission. Two is stay strapped or get clapped.
Well,
I want to share an experience, what I do when I go to Korea, because Korea, there's no real handgun. So, like, even in the airport, I would continuously do things that help me that you can do without a gun. So one thing I do a lot is hand wrist separation exercise. If you're on training group, I think you will know what I'm talking about. It's basically an exercise to learn how to maintain my firing hand relaxed while maintaining the wrist lock. It requires two different muscles. Like grip is basically finger muscle, palm muscle, things like that. Wrist locking is forearm muscles. So I'm trying to train my body to gain control, individual muscles. So when I actually shoot, firing hand is staying relaxed. However, my wrist is locked pretty solid. So I do that exercise to keep that familiarized, always to have that on demand. And another one is I do a lot of visual exercise too. Like I would just pick a couple spots. It doesn't have to be a target. Like I do this a lot on actually a red light on a signal while I'm driving. I would pick a couple spots like back mirror of my next car, things like that. And I would specifically look to a certain spot very, very clearly as fast as possible. So I'm training both my eyeballs or the head moving to spot very fast, as fast as humanly possible. And second one is a focal depth change. So I'm seeing the object as fast, as clear as possible. So those things deteriorates pretty fast. I experienced when I take a day off, not a day, maybe a couple weeks off, I experienced my visual speed getting pretty slow or forgetting or tensing up the firing hand or the whole arm kind of thing. So I do that especially when I go to Korea or whenever I'm in the airport, things like that. Doesn't require any gun. Yep.
I like it. Mm-hmm. Well, guys, I think this was a bang up podcast. Tyler, I'm so glad you came on. We need to have you on more often, by the way.
I know. It's been too long.
I agree. All right. Well, listeners, if you have a question you would like to answer to, go to my website, bensteger.com. Send me your question. We'd love to hear from you.